Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Welcome to Homeland Heroes Salute podcast with your hosts Doug Macedo and Jim Roberg.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fubar Studios. I'm your host Doug. Today we've got a special guest. We've got Gunny Claus here with us, and I'm gonna have him take it over and have him explain some of the stuff that he's doing, as well as his military experience. So if you want to take it over, Gunny.
Thank you. My name isn't actually Gunny Claus, it's just a persona. I served in the United States Marine Corps from 1986 to 2007. I was a military policeman, criminal investigator, drill instructor, Marine combat instructor, border survival, military police instructor, and I finished up my career with a tour in Iraq during the surge with the police transition team.
Okay. During your time, in the service, as a drill instructor, how was that transitioning new recruits when they're coming into Paris Island and stuff like that? How was that? What was the whole background to it, as well as the transitioning, knowing that you're doing this?
So the first thing about being a drill instructor is you go through boot camp all over again. Your school is 13 weeks, and you go through every step that the recruit would go through, so that you know how the training is now compared to what it may have been when you went through. So when I went through boot camp in '86, there was no crucible. We didn't have that moment. We didn't have a transition week where we stopped calling our drill instructors sir and started calling them by rank. So that was the first thing that you had to get used to. And as a staff sergeant, it's pretty hard to humble yourself and act like a recruit again.
Yeah.
So that's one of the first things. I was a recruit at Paris Island because I grew up in New York, but I like to joke that I took the real Marine Corps to Hollywood when I was a drill instructor out in San Diego.
Yeah.
And everybody argues, which one's better, which one's harder, which one the drill instructors are, or whatever. And, the answer I give everybody is there's no way that any drill instructor is going to be any easier because they're on the East Coast or West Coast. They're going to train those recruits to the best of their ability and as hard as they can within the regulations.
Yeah. Now, did you ever have any, soldiers that want to pretty much, not, like they wanted to disobey the order of, you know, training and stuff like that, and try to ring out, like not ring out, but just, you know, not want to train and try to get chapter out of that, out of the Marine Corps.
So the term we use is refuse to train.
Yes.
And it happens once in a while. Generally, there's other circumstances in that recruit's life that are causing them to not want to be there anymore, whether it's a personal reason, a family reason, a relationship. It's not actually what's going on in training that causes them to stop. It's something outside of it that influences them.
Gotcha.
And the simple thing is, you know, as a drill instructor, your job is to keep them training.
Yeah.
You then take that situation and you give it over to the senior drill instructor to talk to that recruit, to find out what the problem is, and to get them past that point so that they can continue on and graduate. The harder part is when a recruit is injured and can't stay with your platoon, and then has to go to the medical rehabilitation platoon or the physical conditioning platoon. Because when they get there, they're not with a drill instructor that they know, they're not with recruits, you know, their fellow recruits, and that can really cause them to lose interest, lose their drive and ability to continue on training.
Yeah.
And so that's really the harder part than somebody who's in a platoon that doesn't want to be there for a short period of time.
Gotcha. Now, because I know, again, when I went through the basic training through the Army, you know, I injured myself and I had to go into the rehabilitation platoon, which was at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, which was the 120th. I had to go through physical therapy and stuff like that, which I think lasted like 3 months, I think it was, which, yeah, it puts a little damper on people, you know, kind of puts you back. But, you know, I know my experience from it, it wasn't as bad as it really seemed to, once you got into knowing some of the recruits that were around, because there were recruits that were in there that were there a lot longer than I was. They didn't really give us the option to like go home and say, okay, we're chaptering out and we're done. It was more just try to work on yourself to get your back downrange, back into basic training, and be able to go with it, because, you know, it was something, again, a lot of us just really wanted to get back down and be able to do it. But again, it kind of puts a little bug into you, but you go with the flow. Now, did you ever, while you're in there, while you're in the Marine Corps, and then you got out of being a drill instructor, was there always was there any time where you took other soldiers that were below you, like more under your wing, to give them guidance as they're moving up the ranks and stuff like that?
So you're always trying to set the example for junior Marines, and I was always looking at those that were above me as examples. I remember my first duty station, I got sent to Okinawa with the 3rd FSG, now 3rd MLG, and we were going on a unit run, and there was a senior Marine who obviously wasn't in good shape, and you know, they're making the excuse that they weren't making the run because they're in the back helping somebody else out who was junior to them that was having difficulty in the run.
Yeah.
And whether he had a physical problem or, you know, I never knew what his situation was, but I looked at that and I said, you know, if I can't be leading my Marines physically, there's no reason for me to be in the Marine Corps anymore. And so I use that as a bad example that I would follow that and be that Marine someday. And then conversely, when I was senior and I got my leadership position, I always made sure that if it was at the rifle range, I was firing experts. If I was at the taking a physical fitness test, I was getting a first class physical fitness test. Being a Marine combat instructor of water survival, that's the highest water survival level you can get as a Marine. I joke the only person who can swim better than me is somebody who's in recon or a Navy SEAL, because they learned scuba and everything else.
Yeah.
So everything that I did, I always did with, doing the very best I could, being the best example I could. And when Marines would come up to me and if they had questions, I'd always explain to them, you have to do your best. Everybody can't be 100%, but you have to try your best and do the best that you can, and be the best Marine that you can.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I can see that being, really, is very important because, again, as we're taught in the military, because I know I've done this for soldiers below me and, the soldiers that I looked at above me that were above me that I kind of looked as a role model. Again, I had two tops that I had, two fire sergeants that were above that I was served under, and both of those individuals I kind of always looked up to as my military career. And which one was First Sergeant Jackson, and as well as First Sergeant McDonald. Both of those individuals I still keep in contact with, and I know First Sergeant McDonald's out, but I believe First Sergeant Jackson is still in. But again, those individuals I looked up to, and the soldiers below me, I always made sure that they knew what my job was, as well as made sure that they knew what the job was below them, so everybody knew everybody's job. Which it comes to a point, as we all get out of the service and do our time. How was that? Because again, like you said, you were in during the siege of Iraq. How was your transitioning of getting out of the service? And in 2007, how was that transitioning getting out? Was it difficult? Was it somewhat of an easy transition, or was there, some challenges you had to, overcome?
Well, getting out of the military for anybody is going to be a challenge. They had a transition program in place at the time that you go through. It was about a week long, I believe. Part of the problem for my transition time was that I was in California and I was moving back to New York. So a lot of the questions I had about veterans benefits and agencies that I could use when transitioning, they may have been in California, but they didn't know what they would be in New York. And so a lot of my questions weren't answered until I actually got back to New York and I registered with the VA and I started getting involved in the organizations in and around Albany to reintegrate into society. So that made it a little bit harder. Looking at people today and hearing their stories, the program has improved, and there's more information out there with the internet, social media. There's other means of figuring it out. That I didn't have when I first got out in 2007. Yeah, there was MySpace, but the social media interaction wasn't as big as it is now, and there weren't as many resources. For example, nobody was doing YouTube videos like this to explain things to people. So this is really good for it.
No, absolutely, and it really is, because again, from the time, even going back to when I was, before I even got into the service, it was a different time. They just started having cell phones. I believe people were able to afford cell phones in the early 2000s and stuff like that, and people had cell phones. It still wasn't computer savvy. You had to hit the same number three, four times to get the letter you need. And you made a good point. The way social media is nowadays and YouTube videos, there's a lot more stuff that's out there that people just don't know, that didn't know. Technically didn't even come out until later on in these last couple of years that people started making. Because again, the transitioning is definitely somewhat difficult, complicated. I wouldn't say difficult, but it's complicated to understand how to when you're transitioning out. Because again, like you said, your time in California, where you're at, to Albany, New York, they didn't know those, the difference. But nowadays, those VSOs, the accredited VSOs, know that they can reach out to different states and get that information. As I just had young lady, Jane Badcock, on 3 different times now. She provides a lot of insight to getting filed with the VA, as well as the different benefits that the VA has. So what we're able to now put out, soldiers are able to see that stuff, which makes it somewhat a little bit easier. Doesn't mean it comes easy, but it definitely does come a little bit easier. Not much, but at least gives you some kind of idea. Which it's very important for our soldiers to have that. For any veteran that's getting out, any soldier getting out, and now becoming back into the civilian life, it gives them some kind of understanding. Now, you reached out to me through the track day for veterans. What kind of brought you into seeing that information and stuff like that? What kind of drew you in?
So talking about the transition, there are veterans out there that don't know what's going on around them. Maybe they're just sick of the military and they don't want anything to do with the military or the VA. They hear horror stories about the VA, and so they distance themselves from what's going on. I know I have a persona that I help around Christmas time, but the thing is veterans need help year-round. They need to know what's around them and the resources that are around them and what's available so that they can get what they need. And so when I'm on social media and I see a veterans organization doing things for veterans, it may not be in Albany, New York. It may be like yourself out in Boston.
Yeah.
I want to share that information so that the people that know me and follow me, that may be in Boston or maybe in Massachusetts and may need some help, they see that there is somebody out there that's willing to help them, like yourself, and that way, we help each other. I go out to Boston once a year, at least for a veterans ride out there, put on by Andy Biggs and Boston Harley Davidson. It's a great event. They help a lot of veterans out that need assistance. You have a veteran who's disabled. The VA only retrofits a certain number of houses for veterans a year. They only provide, so much as far as a vehicle is concerned. Adapting things so that a veteran can use it. And if they can't get that help, like I helped a veteran out here a few years ago. Since he was in a rental unit, the VA wouldn't put in a handicap ramp for him, and he had a powered wheelchair. He had an electric wheelchair that he had to get in and out of his house from. And there were steps. There was no ramp, so he could only get out of his house once a week when a veterans organization came there to take him to the VA for his visit. And so through Home Depot and their grant and volunteers, we went out and we built him a ramp so that he could get in and out of his house easier when he wanted to. So, that's the whole thing is this intercorrect connectivity working together and letting people know what's out there to help them.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and that's where one of my goals with this is. There's so many groups that are out there, like Andy Bigelow's group, because that's one of the events I've been going to for umpteen years now. That there's so many organizations out there that are there to help veterans that are outside of the normal of, the VA, DAV, VFW, American Legions, the Marine Corps Legion. There's other groups out there that help veterans, and they're able to provide the veterans with more help than just the normal stuff that the VA and stuff like that can help. I've helped out. It's been the last 2 years now. I've been working and helping out with Homeland Heroes Foundation, which is out of Salem, New Hampshire. Julie Weymouth is the founder, and then there's another lady who is the co-founder as well. And then they have the boards, and again, a lot of these organizations, it's trying to build the gap, bridging the gap between these organizations to be able to help all of us veterans out. Because if one veteran organization has their hands tied and are not able to, there may be another organization that's out there that is able to help. Some organizations like Easter Seal and stuff like that, they have their hands tied when it comes to funding individuals, because they have to go by what the grant has set as a rule. So their financial stuff has to be, they have to be a certain income level. They can't go over it. With my organization or Andy's organization, we don't have those guidelines. You just have to be, verified as a veteran, be able to pretty much just at that point, just be able to help those veterans. Andy's, mine, and there's so many of them out there that are driven by none of the board members that are board members or whatnot. We don't take any income ourselves. We do all of this stuff as volunteer work. We don't want anything back out of this. We want everything, 100% of the proceeds to go straight back to the veterans. And that's where our heart's at. Just like yourself, you're doing it for the veterans, you're not doing it for yourself. You may get followers and stuff like that, but that's just so that, you're getting the word out to people. It means nothing else. It just means that you're getting the word out. As you were saying, go ahead.
A good example of that of followers. I've done a couple TikTok videos. I've done a couple interviews on YouTube, and one of them really took off on TikTok. It's got 1.7 million views. I've got 17,000 followers on there. and somebody was going, "Oh my God, you're TikTok famous, this and that," and they're looking at me, like I'm really famous, and I go, "Yeah, that's nothing," and I go, "In fact, the short video that has 1.7 million views, TikTok was kind enough to give me 63 cents for that."
Yeah.
And people are sitting there going, "Oh yeah, you make all this money off of this stuff," and it's like, no, you really don't. Unless you're actually famous in the regular media, TikTok's not really going to give you anything because then they're losing out on their money.
Yeah. Yeah, it's same goes with YouTube. It's the same thing. Again, yeah, you can have these followers, you can have these big hits on stuff like that. It doesn't mean you're gonna make millions. Again, as even I tell my kids, I'm like, listen, don't think you're gonna become a YouTuber or gamer or whatnot on social media and think you're gonna make millions of dollars. Because a lot of them are like, oh, they see Mr. Beast or this DDG or something. It's a guy driving around in a Ferrari, and he's like, yeah, I'm making big money, and it's like, yeah, it's not gonna happen. I mean, realistically, you may get people that do make money on it, but they're doing it 24/7. But I guarantee you, they got sponsors that are paying them big money to do it. And again, it's the media that's out there that's gonna push a lot of this stuff. Not just a video that hits 1.7 million. It's just not the correct way. So, it pays pennies on the dollars, and it's like, again, that 63 cents, you probably took it and put it right back into with, doing what you do during Christmas time. It's not about the money or the fame of it. It's knowing that you're doing something that is helping other veterans. Because that's what it's all about.
That's actually the best part is when you get there's a lot of scams on social media.
Yeah.
And so I'll contact somebody on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or X or TikTok, and a lot of the times they'll be like, who are you? What do you want? No, I don't want to buy into this. I don't want to give you a kidney, and all the scams that you hear about. And then once I get past that point, what I'll get is what really is great is getting somebody going, I'm glad you reached out to me today because, I'm having a bad day. Cheers me up. And the first thing I say to them is, you just made my day.
Yeah.
Because I just talked to 10, 20 people on social media, and they're all having a great day. So I don't have to do anything else. But you saying that you needed help, I'm here. Now where do we go to? Who do I have to get in touch with to help you out so that we can make this day better for you and everybody else? Those are the great. That's the good feeling.
Oh, absolutely. I know. I mean, I've received myself, again, because I put my phone number out there. It's like, if you're down and you need someone to talk to, it's those phone calls when someone calls in and says, hey, Doug, I seen you on your podcast. I read everything. I got your number off of it. Hey, I'm going through a bad time right now. I just lost my brother a couple months ago, and now I just lost my mother. It's just me. I need someone to talk to. And this is at like 10 o'clock at night a couple weeks ago. And it just makes me feel good to myself that, I'm now talking to this individual and I'm helping them out. And it's that feeling that I know that I just helped that person through. And, occasionally I get a message from the individual since then. So it's a good feeling. And it's like, that's why I'm here. I don't want, anything else but knowing that I can potentially just help you off of whatever you could have been thinking of, and changing that outcome. Which is good. And that's what I always look forward to. And with the track day for veterans, that's where I give the opportunity to, veterans that want to participate, even Gold Star family members, if they want to participate. All they got to do is reach out, send me, their information. They can see the races where we're at, and they can come out at any one of those races. We've got 4 teams that are participating on this, and you get shirts, for merchandise, shirts from the race teams. We donate the shirts that we have for the veterans for track day for veterans, because again, we got a sponsor who pays for the shirts. I just picked up, which I'm gonna be putting out on this, is we are getting challenge coins, which I know is a big thing for veterans and servicemen and women, is challenge coins. Usually it's used to be a little different. Used to be just certain people would always give out those challenge coins, and it'd always be for certain things. Now it's more giving out to a lot of other people, but we're giving out the track day for veteran challenge coins, and those challenge coins will be going to the veterans that participate in the track day for veterans. They will be given that challenge coin at the end of the race, which makes them kind of it's to let them know, hey, you are part of our family. You will always be a part of us. And they're always more than welcome to come back to any of the races that the teams go to, and they can always be with them in the pits, which always makes it very, I would say, interesting and an experience, because you get to hear the roaring of the engines of all of the race cars, So, who's donating that? There is the Veteran Development Corporation here up in Massachusetts. They're a bigger company. It's going to be a lot more stuff coming up in the coming years. But I finally was able to partner up with them and be able to get them to where they said, hey, you know what? We will make you guys, get you guys the challenge coins, which is absolutely amazing. But this is the release of this, because I haven't said it to anybody, but this will be the release that we're now partnered up with Veteran Development Corporation. And there'll be more to come as the as this relationship grows with them. So
Good.
It's an absolutely amazing, and I just can't talk. I can't tell a lot about it. It's just, it makes me feel good knowing that these companies are coming along and helping out even more than what they're expected to, because none of these companies are expected to do what they're doing. They're doing it out of the gracious of their hearts, because some of these companies, owners and board members and stuff, are veterans themselves, which is, really hits home, and it helps out these the veterans. So, So, with that being said, I definitely want to turn it back over to you, Wise, as you were mentioning. Gunny Claus is not your real legal name, but it's what you do up in upstate New York. Can you give us a brief, give us whatever information you want to talk about your stuff that you do up in upstate New York?
So, as I said, I retired from the Marine Corps in California, and I returned back to New York. It's difficult reintegrating back into society, back into the community. So one of the things I did was I went to my local Marine Reserve unit and volunteered with them for the Toys for Tots program. And they didn't need a lot of help. We had a reserve unit here, and so I helped out when I could. Then unfortunately, the unit was transferred to Connecticut, and we don't have a reserve unit here. So the program reached out to me and said, hey, we'd like you to come out and do an event with us, and get you more involved, get a Marine uniform. And I said, okay, I'll come out, I'll try. And I did the event. It was a 2-day event. I wasn't Gunny Claus. I was just myself. I didn't have the beard. My hair was probably about the same length, but I was just in regular civilian clothes. And for 2 days, I scared all the kids. I felt like Krampus. I felt like the Anti-Claus. I felt like Scrooge, or the Grinch. Yeah. And so I didn't want to do that again. I didn't want to be, scaring the kids. And I was fortunate that I was talking to a friend of mine in New Jersey who had been in the Commandant Zone, the Drum and Bugle Corps, and I had seen Gunny Claus down in South Carolina, the original Vietnam veteran. And we were talking. I was like, yeah, I'd love to be able to do that. And since they had been in the band, they were able to get me the blouse, the scarlet blouse from the band. I was able to put the uniform together and become Gunny Claus and help the Toys for Tots program out here. Last year, the Toys for Tots program here in the Capital Region, Capital District, distributed the most toys, and it was the largest program in the whole Toys for Tots program in the world.
Wow.
And it's amazing what these people can do and what we can do to help people out. And so from there, people saw me doing that, and Marines reached out and said, hey, could you come and be at our Christmas event? Could you come out and do something, for the Marine Corps birthday ball? Could you do something here? And since it wasn't something that I had planned on doing, it wasn't something that I had wanted to do. At first, I didn't do anything. But now with more interest and more social media, I am doing more, and it's not Toys for Tots related. It's myself. I just got approved to go to Hawaii for their Christmas events. The MCCSS out there was able to fund me going out there. Because like I said, I don't get paid for this. This is just something I want to do. I come out to Boston for the Wounded Vet Ride. I go down to DC for the Memorial Day Rolling to Remember Ride. I was just in New York City for St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Tartan Day Parade, and I also participate and help with the Irreverent Warriors Silky Hikes, which is a great program, and so it's getting out there. I'm doing more, and it's really great to be able to do it, because then you actually get to see the change in people and people helping. And so I've got other Marines out there, they're like, how do you become Gunny Claus? And I'm like, you just do it. And they're like, well, I was never a gunny, I was never a drill instructor. I'm like, okay, what was your rank? And they'll say corporal. I'm like, okay, be Corporal Kringle. Get this jacket right here, this blouse right here is just the desert blouse that the Marines wear now. And all I did was just dye it red. I put my rank on the side. I put the Marine Corps League emblems on it. And it's another uniform that I can use other than the dress uniform, so I can do more events.
Which, I mean, that's absolutely amazing. And as you mentioned, you come up here to Boston. You go down to the Rolling Thunders ride, the Rolling to Remember ride for the Vietnam veterans. which is held by Rolling Thunder. Have you?
Rolling Thunder stopped in 2019.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
AMVETS took it over, and it's Rolling to Remember. And so they've added to the POW MIA mission of Rolling Thunder 22 a day. So it ties in really well with the Silkies hikes and everything else to try and prevent veterans from committing suicide.
Yes, that's right. I totally forgot that it did get changed over in 2019 to the AMVETS. When you go down there, have you ever met the saluting Marine Tim Chambers?
Yes. In fact, last year after the parade, we were having lunch together.
Yeah.
And Tim and I were talking, and he got a phone call from somebody, and the Marine had passed away, and he had made plans to be at the funeral for this Marine. And unfortunately, that meant he was going to have to leave immediately and go to this funeral, even though he was scheduled to be on a float for the Memorial Day parade in Washington, D.C. So he had to call the person that was in charge of that float and explain to him that he wasn't going to be able to make it on the parade day. And the person, of course, was upset and was trying to pressure him into staying and doing the parade. And so halfway through the conversation, Tim stops and he looks at me and he goes, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And I'm like, "What do you need me to do?" And he goes, "Well, would you be willing to do this parade, be on this float for me?" And I said, "I'll do whatever I can to help you out." And so the very next day, I was in the Memorial Day parade. I stood in for Staff Sergeant Tim Chambers. I'll never be able to fill his shoes. What he does is amazing. I was able to be able to do that though, just for a short period of time, and we keep in contact. I'll see him down there again this Memorial Day.
Yeah. He. I actually was just talking to him through Facebook, because again I met him through Andy.
Yep.
But I also went down to the Rolling Thunders ride, which was back in 2015 when I went last. The last time I went was 2015, and I met him down there. Which that was an absolutely amazing and easy to get off course and not go the whole ride. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But it was still an absolute.
The thing is Rolling Thunder, Rolling to Remember. You don't have to ride a motorcycle to go. You don't have to ride a motorcycle with tent. It's there for remembering the POWs and MIAs. It's there for preventing veteran suicide.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other things in the area that you can do at the same time. There's an organization that goes to Arlington Cemetery on Saturdays and places markers on the gravestones for families. There's the actual Memorial Day parade on Monday.
Yeah.
So you don't
there's so much.
Ride a motorcycle to go.
Yeah, there's so much to do without being on a motorcycle. Again, there's so much to do in the veteran community without having to ride a motorcycle, because a lot of these events that even the motorcycle groups that do motorcycle rides, you don't have to ride a motorcycle. You can just show up in a car and attend and pay whatever, donate whatever you can to that ride, and and do your thing. There's so many avenues to help veterans in the veteran community, because let alone it's not just the veterans, it's also the veteran families. The wife and the kids, or the husband and the kids. They all sacrifice something as well as their spouse is serving. and that's the biggest thing. Again, that's out there is we need to be able to support and help them in any way we can, because it's not just the veteran that goes through things; it's also the family. And so, and that's absolutely amazing what you're doing. You definitely it's a lot that you're providing and helping out and doing your part, because again, when we as veterans get out, it's absolutely crucial still to be able to stand behind your brothers and sisters in arms and say, hey, you know what, you're not alone, you're not by yourself. After you get out, you still have that that sense of brother and sister bond still outside of the military. So other than that, is there anything you can tell tell us and the viewers, anything else that you can think of that they could take away from this?
I think the one thing is that I said this on another podcast. You're going to get out of the military. You're going to try and reintegrate back into your family, back in your home life, back in the community, and you're going to hear a lot of people say that you've changed, that you're no longer the person you were. And the thing is because all of those people, that community, have been there for those 4 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, they don't see the changes that they've gone through. They don't see that they've evolved. They're no longer the same person that they were when you left. And they're going to put that all on you. And they're not going to be able to understand, how you are now as compared to how you were when you left.
Yeah.
That's the hard part for a lot of veterans to accept, because it gets dumped on us. It gets dumped on the community. We're the veterans. We changed, and they've changed also. And you have to be able to let them understand that they've changed too. My family's moved. They've had different jobs. They've had different partners, different things go on in their lives. But since it's their life and it just happened every day, they don't notice those big changes. Whereas I see the changes, the big changes in them. And so don't take it too hard. Don't take it too personally that they're putting this on you.
Yeah.
Accept it and look at it, and when you can, let them know that they've gone through changes too. And that you're having to adjust to how they are now also. Not just them adjust to how you are now. So I think that's the one thing that we really need to get out there to not just the veterans, but the families of the veterans that come home.
Oh, absolutely. And as we sit here and watch this, definitely, if anything, you didn't take anything else away, that's one very important is to take away is, just know that you as a veteran, you might have changed, but don't let that just discourage you or put you down, because just take it with a grain of salt, because again, once you do see those other individuals, they've guarantee you they've changed, and they're just not bothering paying attention to that. And it's very important just to take it with a grain of salt and run with your own things and do your thing. So again, we definitely do appreciate it, Gunny Claus. I'm gonna keep calling you that. Maybe one day I can become, what is it? I'll become an elf for Claus.
Well, I know a person who was a soldier, and he calls himself Sergeant Santa.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's also all sorts of opportunities out there for people to do. if they wanted to be involved in helping others, around the Christmas time.
I think I might want to become an elf. Do Army Sergeant Macedo, the elf on the shelf,
Yep.
But no, we definitely do appreciate it again, and thank you for all the information you've provided and your background, and definitely look forward to seeing you more and potentially getting you onto another episode here with us. All right.
I'll be out there for the ride.
Yeah, that's coming up here soon.
So if you make it out there, we can talk there, take some pictures together. That'd be fun.
Absolutely. I will definitely be there. As I already talked to Andy, I know I will be at Suffolk Down, and have to get you in contact even with the one of our race car drivers. He's going to be down there at the Boston Harley as well with his Humvee that he has. So look forward to seeing you then. And until next time, you guys, we'll catch you later.
Semper Festivus.
Absolutely.
Thank you for supporting Homeland Heroes Salute podcast. Please make sure to like and follow Homeland Heroes on all of their social media outlets. Homeland Heroes Salute podcast is a Fubar Studios Sinista1 co-production.